Alright guys, I am back with another movie review, and this is for Dark Skies. And I went and saw this movie on Friday night, and I wouldn't say it was a bad movie. I think I just expected more from this. I know it's made by the same people behind Paranormal Activity, but it really just feels like Paranormal Activity with aliens. I mean, that's pretty much this movie. The only problem I have, without giving too much away right now, is in movies like this, you have scenes where stuff starts to happen and slowly builds up. For example, in Paranormal Activity, a little thing will start to move around the house, or the door will slam shut, and then it gets stronger and stronger. And watching this movie, it's only an hour and 30 minutes, it really feels like they're still doing things to build up to the payoff at the end of the movie. And the payoff I didn't care for either. So it was a little disappointing. It was still an entertaining movie for what it was, but as far as Dark Skies goes, I have to say this is definitely a DVD rental here. This is not something to go see in theaters. And next week I'm going to go see The Last Exorcism Part 2, I think they're calling it. So I have high hopes for that one. I love the first one, but yeah, Dark Skies was a little disappointing to me. So anyways, on to some spoilers here. Let me try to remember what happens in the beginning. Well, you have this family. You have the dad and the mom who are having money troubles, and then you have their kids Jesse and his brother Sam. And they communicate on these little walkie-talkies every night, and they get along really well. And I'm trying to remember how the aliens actually started appearing. I think it was like a dream Sam had, the youngest son, who was probably like 6 or something. But weird stuff starts to happen. The mom comes downstairs and she sees the refrigerator just emptied out, and she thinks maybe it was the kids, and then she comes back. There was some really goofy stuff in this movie too, and then she comes back, I think the next night, and there's a sculpture built out of cereal boxes, and I'm thinking, you're not going to blame this on the kid too, are you? Because like I said, he's 6 and the other kid I think was 13, maybe even younger. And anytime something happens, they call this cop who says, "Are you sure it wasn't one of your kids?" And eventually all their pictures of the family have been stolen. And the cop comes back and he says, "Well, you know, kids do strange things in their sleep." And as it gets worse and worse, I was just thinking, is that cop going to come back and try and say it's the kids again? Because some really crazy stuff happens. They get a security system set up in the house, videotapes just like Paranormal Activity. It's not from a handheld camera perspective the whole movie, but it's still, they have security camera footage. They rewind it and they can see the cameras getting all staticky when the aliens arrive. There was another cool scene where a flock of birds just starts heading to the house and just killing themselves at their house. So they're starting to realize, hey, something really weird is going on here. And the mom is trying to show a house to a family. She does real estate, and she just goes into this weird zone where she's freaking out, and it's like she's, I guess, comatose here. And she just walks up to a screen door and starts banging her head on it so hard the glass breaks. And she wakes up, and at first you're wondering, was it a dream? But she has the wound on her head, and she gets a call from her boss. So you realize this really did happen, but she's experiencing missing time. And then the dad, later on, she wakes up and he's gone. So she finds him in the backyard, and and then his nose just starts bleeding. So weird stuff's happening to him. He's got this weird itching sensation behind his ear. And she tells him about the aliens. She thinks it could be aliens. She did some search for it online, and some of the pictures that kids have drawn who have been abducted look the same as Sam's drawings. So she wants to go see this guy who is supposed to be an expert, I guess. And so her and her husband go to visit this man. and he asks them some questions. What have you been experiencing? And they have all the symptoms, and he explains that what's behind the father's ear is a tracking device. It's how they control them. They can basically shut them down and put them in that weird state. And there's no way to get rid of it. He says he's tried, and he shows them his ear, and he's got this huge scar back there. And he says there's really nothing you can do. These aliens, he calls them Greys, are going to abduct whoever they made first contact with. There's really nothing you can do about this. He says the only way to fight them off is to make it so hard for them to abduct this person that they just give up. And very rarely does the victim ever come back. So the father says, we're just going to defend the house. They board up the windows, they get a gun, they get a guard dog, because dogs can apparently sense the Greys. And they prepare for the final showdown. And this was kind of a strange scene to me, because they have all this stuff, they're ready, the dad's got the gun, the kids are up in the room, the mom's got a knife. But I was just wondering why the aliens don't just shut them down. Because they can turn them off like that. And they've done it before. So just shut the parents down. They can eliminate the dog easily, because they do. It doesn't show it, it's off camera, but somehow they get rid of the dog. So all they have to do is that, and then they can just abduct the kid. So I didn't understand why the aliens didn't do this. But the aliens show up, and the father, it doesn't show what happens, but he runs upstairs to his sons and his wife, and they head to the bedroom, and they're just waiting to fight these aliens off, and then they just show up. And it never really shows the aliens, they're always kind of just shadowy figures. And then the older son, Jesse, has this weird hallucination, I guess you would say, where he's in this house his mom was selling for real estate, and he's in this house, and his mother is dead, his dad's holding the gun and kills himself, and he sees his little brother who he's trying to protect from the Greys, and his brother looks at him, and then he wakes up and he's back in his house, and his parents are still alive. So the aliens, I guess, were making him see all of this. It was really strange. I didn't like this at all. And the aliens were making him see all of this, and then his parents are like, "No, Jesse," and the aliens take him. So they were after the older kid the entire time, and then the mom has this flashback about how the man said they would go after the person they first made contact with, and how Jesse was always really sick, which is a symptom of the being around the Greys, and they were after him from the beginning. She finds these drawings going through his stuff after he's gone about how he was drawing pictures of the aliens and stuff too. So the entire time, I guess the huge swerve here was that they were after Jesse, and it just, I mean, it wasn't good at all. I mean, it wasn't really a big surprise or anything. I mean, sure, it was surprising, but it's not like Sixth Sense surprising here. So it was kind of just a blah ending. And the very last thing we see is Sam and his mom are looking at Jesse's stuff, and they're sad because he's gone, and they know they'll probably never see him again. And then the walkie-talkie his little brother always talked to him on starts to go off, and we hear it's Jesse, and then the movie ends. So that was it. That was Dark Skies. I mean, yeah, it was a little disappointing. It's an entertaining movie throughout, but yeah, the ending definitely did not deliver, and some of it was just really goofy, like the final showdown where they're trying to fight off these aliens who they have no chance against, and it's like the aliens are toying with them, because they could have just shut them down, and at the very least made them see the same hallucination that Jesse saw, put them in a happy place so they don't know what's going on. I mean, they could have done anything. But it's like the aliens were trying to make things harder on themselves for some reason. So anyways, that's my review of Dark Skies. Definitely wait for the DVD on this one. But anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this movie in the comments, and thanks for watching.